Welcome to CTN News Spotlight. I'm Joe Nelson. Tornadoes, floods, thunderstorms, and extreme heat are all common in Minnesota, but many of us are unprepared when it comes to severe weather. The state designates 1 week each year to refresh the public on what to do as part of Severe Weather Awareness Week. We took a look back and ahead to see what we should know before the storm.
We're in that transition period where a tornado can spin up.
With the drastic changes in weather we've seen week to week, Anoka County Emergency Management Director Terry Stoltzman is urging people to pay attention to what's happening in the skies.
When you know the weather's coming in, pay attention and timing. Are you going to be outside? Are you going to be inside, at work, at home?
Part of paying attention to weather reports is knowing the difference between a watch and a warning.
A watch is just conditions are favorable. A warning is something is happening now and you need to take action.
Nearly 6 years removed from any major tornadoes in the area, he says people can forget how powerful storms can be.
There is oftentimes a little complacency. It hasn't happened in a long time, but it can occur and it has occurred in Minnesota.
Over the past 2 years, we heard from a select few in the county who will never forget the dangers tornadoes can bring. The 1939 tornado first touched down in Champlin, and when it started making its way to the Mississippi, most Anokans still thought they were safe.
The park here is at the point of where the Rum River behind me and the Mississippi River in that direction come together. Before the 1939 tornado, many people believed that a tornado would never cross the confluence of a river.
That's absolutely wrong, obviously, and it was proven that very day.
Tom Ward, now in his early 90s, lived through the deadly storm.
For years afterwards, you could drive through Anoka and know exactly where the tornado swept through. You could see the path right straight through the town because of all the trees were gone.
That tornado killed 9 people, damaging 250 homes.
We ran the 3 blocks to home, and we went right past the Army, which was now flattened.
26 years later, major twisters returned, ripping through Fridley in May of 1965.
I was in a trailer in Fridley Terrace, and I grabbed my 2 little girls and tried to stay on the floor. And then the refrigerator came over on top of us. They said another one was touching down. Somebody took my other little girl, and then my baby and I ran to a house, and we were there until we came here.
I didn't think it was near as bad as what it was until it was over, and I looked outside and saw trailers next to me over on top of the trailers next to them.
Officially, the tornadoes killed 13 people that day, but local historian Alan Taylor says injuries from the storm led to about 90 more deaths within the next year.
Supposedly there were 683 injuries, but far more occurred than that. For the reason they go to the hospital, there's 100 people in line, well, let's go back home.
Survivors told stories of suffering.
I'm from the West, you see, and I don't know much about these things, and so then I put the car in. I don't know why, because the garage fell in on it, but then I went down the basement. I don't know how to describe it. I guess you could say confusion.
Just hope nothing like that happens again.
Barney and Ardella Buss, who lived through the storm, say their home was one of the few with little damage. But with neighbors all losing their roofs or worse, they also learned from what happened.
We know that we should take the necessary precautions. And I think since then we've gotten a weather radio so that we can keep track of all the storms in the area.
With more tools to track weather at our fingertips, Stoltzman says we have the ability to be more prepared than ever if we're not preoccupied with other things.
Have a water supply, so if you get trapped in your home, have a way to communicate if you have a cell phone. But really, if you hear those outdoor warning sirens and you're outside or even inside, find out why.
It will happen again, but when it does, people need to be prepared and they need to get to shelter.
According to the National Weather Service, Minnesota averages 40 tornadoes a year. For more tips on how to be prepared, head to the Minnesota Department of Public Safety's website. That's all for CTN News Spotlight. We'll see you next time.